Thursday night. You know what that means. It's time for Magic and Martinis. Please welcome your host, Scott Wells.
It is Thursday night, and welcome, friends and neighbors. So glad that you could be here. Rather than drinking alone, you're having a virtual happy hour with us. And so I'm glad that you joined us. I hope that you have your beverage chilled and that you are enjoying a little something then with us then right now. So glad that you guys have started to tune in. We're getting a few people over here to begin with. Hello, Mark and Sue. I'm sure Sue's with you there, Mark, over in Driftwood, Texas. That's great. And also, hey, Mike, all the way from Philly. Hello to you. Glad that you're here then with us then well. And from Dallas, hey, Dal Sanders, of course, glad to have you then, partner. It's wonderful. Got a few other people coming back. What did, yep, Mark said, yeah, Sue is here. Hello, Sue. I thought that might be the case. Again, I hope that you guys enjoy this. Appreciate you coming back from week to week. We always have some very interesting guests and a lot of stimulating conversations and things that this is kind of an extension of the Magic Word podcast. And I thank you guys for tuning in and listening to that. Today, we released a podcast with John Pullum, who I know is a good friend of Mark and Sue Holstein, of course. And he had a lot of information to talk about when he was talking about this platform of StreamYard plus Zoom and other kinds of things. So it was kind of interesting about how that we are establishing some new territory now for us to use, not only now, but also for the future. So this way, then we have something that as we progress and get through this, that in the later years, we'll probably still be supplementing some of our performances, certainly with our virtual performances. Anyhow, that's what some of the things that John had to talk about then as well. Hello, Jacob from Detroit. I know that you're a friend of also of John Pullum, as well as Al the Only. Talk a little bit about him then too. And Lori, hey, hello from the other room, from where you are then too. That's great. And so, yeah, we're not the only one who it's the Lori fan club over there. And Alan, hey, stay magical as well. Appreciate that, my friend. Always good to see you then as well. Glad that you came on. Well, this evening, as well as we usually have, of course, we have a few friends who are from around the world from time to time. You never know where people are going to be coming from week to week. But I wanted just to begin by introducing our first guest, who this little video will perhaps describe a little bit of her background. So let me bring her in here. So there you have it, and there she is. Hi. Hey there, Stephanie. Welcome.
Thank you so much. This is cool.
So glad that you could be with us here this week, and cheers, my friend.
Oh, cheers. Thank you.
Okay, you appreciate drinking wine. You had a little bit larger glass there a while ago. You scaled back.
My martini just about a minute ago.
Girl after my own heart. That sounds great. Yeah. Great. All right, the next person that I have coming in over here, you might notice in the background, by the way, that it's as if we're sitting at the Owl Bar there at the Magic Castle, and that's where this photo was taken, and that's because the person that we're going to be having up here next is someone who is the general manager of the Academy of Magical Arts. and you kind of see him in the background, perhaps occasionally. He does attend at the castle from time to time, but he is busy working upstairs and with all of the business affairs of the Magic Castle, and again the Academy Magical Art. We'll get into that about how that is the corporation, and the Magic Castle is the clubhouse for the Academy. Let's welcome my good friend, please, Mr. Joe Furlow. Hey there, Joe.
Scott, how are you? Stephanie, great to see you.
Hi, good to meet
Thank you
you.
for the invite.
I'm so glad that you were able to make it, and cheers to you. I'm glad that you are here then too.
I was excited about this. Thank you for the invitation.
I am drinking vodka here tonight. This is a martini, which normally when I'm at the castle I would have my traditional martini, but then I kind of break into the NPH. Those Neil Patrick Harris drinks. Ooh, they're very good. I like them a lot. Yes, they're wonderful.
Our best seller inside the castle, and actually right now we're trying to sell as much of it as we can. Obviously we closed in March so quickly. We had about 4 or 5 barrels full of NPH.
Oh man.
And given the recent heat here in Los Angeles, I'm worried that it's turning into moonshine. So the more we can consume over the next 6 weeks, the better.
Boy, I wish I was a little bit closer to come and help you with that. Let's talk about that in just a minute, but let me introduce my third and final guest here for this evening. I'm going to introduce him by way of this little video then as well.
Hi, I'm Stuart McDonald, International Champion of Magic. Whoa, ho, ho, hey! Oh, and I fooled Penn and Teller. And I have a new show called Richard Preston's Cocktail Capers. And it's a show you're going to want to see.
I don't know what that element is, so you fooled us.
Who does that? Correct! Feels so good. Me. Future started. Me. Hang tight. Here it is. Oops. Pick a card. Base coins? 70. Thank you. Really hard. After all those years, it inspired me to make. This show is one you've got to see.
It's the T-Rex that has halitosis, not my next guest. Please welcome Stuart McDonald. Hey, Stuart.
Howdy.
All the way from Michigan. Thank you very much, and cheers, my friend. I saw that you got just kind of a very interesting, an interesting tiki drink. All the best.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I want to encourage everybody else who's out there watching then as well to make sure that you've got your favorite beverage then as well. And I want to say hello to Harriet. She's also one of your fellow Michiganders
Hi, Harriet.
out there as well. From all the way around the opposite side of the world, we've got from Australia over there, Peter Brown. Hey there, Peter. Glad that you're online here then with us as well. So I know you were saying just a moment ago then, Joe, that about how that you're having a lot of a real heat wave out there. It's been in the hundreds in LA?
It has. This past weekend, it got 107 in Long Beach. It was 113 in Hollywood, California, which set records over the Labor Day weekend. It's scheduled to be about 97 degrees this weekend. So we're seeing some unprecedented weather. Obviously, if you've watched the news, we have some unprecedented fires throughout all of California. So our thoughts and prayers are with those that are affected based on the wildfires. But it's never a dull moment here in California, is it? Earthquakes, fires,
No. One thing or another, yeah, that fires or floods or riots or whatever, something going on. Now, are you experiencing much smoke from all of that then as well?
We have. Driving up this morning from Long Beach, which is about a 35-mile drive from the castle, driving through downtown, you could really almost taste the smoke in the air. When I arrived at the castle this morning about 8 a.m., ash was still falling and you had the hint of smoke. Obviously we're pretty far away from the closest fire, but the one burning in Azusa, the ones burning in San Bernardino, which are within that 60-mile radius, are surely affecting the LA basin. So the air quality is miserable.
Yeah, I would not think that it would be too pleasant there. I mean, in addition to all the heat and everything then that you've got then as well. So, yeah, our thoughts and prayers are with you guys up there. It's a very difficult time, I'm sure. And Joe said the best thing that's happened to the castle in a long time. That's right. Well done, Joe.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And I was mentioning at the top of this about how that we are kind of handling this virtually, the way that things are going. We're learning this as we go because we are obviously in unprecedented times in the future that we're going to be perhaps using some of these skills that we're learning now that we can carry on into the future, I believe, a little bit. And someone who's really seemed to have embraced this very well and has been doing this pretty successfully over here has been Stuart McDonald. Stuart, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with yours show that you've been doing of the Cocktail Capers?
Sure. We started it with the Croswell Opera House to raise money because they're hurting too. And I had no idea that I was going to end up being Richard Preston with a tube on my head. But it's been, I keep on thinking, I have to thank COVID for helping me get to this new level of performing where I've created an entirely new show that can be done on Zoom or live. And it's actually more fun than being myself. So Stuart McDonald may not exist after all this is over. I just may be Richard Preston from here on out.
A whole new character. Now, for those who have not seen the show, you're not out of luck. You're going to have an opportunity to see this soon and in the future as well. But you have developed something, and you seem to have hit on this. And so, number one, can you explain the character of Richard Preston and who that is?
Sure. Well, one of the things that I wanted to do in the development phase was first investigate everybody else that's out there. And so I made a flow chart of what I was seeing. And what I was seeing was everybody sitting at a table with their back to a wall. And I thought, okay. Then I analyzed all of their tricks, and I used lean and continuous improvement model to figure out what I wanted to do differently by analyzing what they were doing. And I found an underlying theme. And the theme is that there wasn't any, for the ones that I saw, there wasn't an emotional connection between the audience. And I found that the online events that I saw that were most powerful was where there was a connection between me or the actor or whoever I was watching, between the audience and through the internet. There has to be some kind of a connection between two people, and just doing tricks isn't enough. So this character, I wanted to make sure he was named in a way that pretty much nobody else had. And I wanted to have a little bit of magic in the name. So it's Preston, like presto. And then the other part of it was I needed him to have a backstory that was so weird that nobody could conceivably copy it. And so his character was the most beloved entertainer after he appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show, and was the greatest magician who ever lived. And he was so beloved that in 1962, he was cryogenically frozen. And he was going to be unfrozen and be the first entertainer on Mars in 2062, 100 years later.
Okay.
So I didn't think anybody was going to copy that idea. and so anyway, he was unthawed during this period of time where the world needed him the most. So world leaders got together, unthawed him, and here we are.
Wow. Wow, that is a very original thought and idea. And what I like is that you have, just as what Pop Hayden had done, is created a whole legend, a whole backstory. So you have become that character. And the second thing I was going to ask you then, that I'm glad that you're here then right now, because just this afternoon, before this began, you just stepped out of doing a TED Talk. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I did a TED Talk for TEDx Detroit. It's the second one I've done. And I did not know that they were following Richard Preston. That was news to me. And they chose me as a representative of the theater community. And there's so many people in the theater that it's like, wow, that was a pretty big honor to do that. And they were asking me questions. First thing they did is they showed a video of me doing tricks, and then they did an interview process like we're doing right now. And they were mostly curious about what was it like to have the transition from live to online. What was that process like? And that's what we mostly talked about. And I will tell you this, that process was miserable. Miserable.
Now, why was that? I mean, what was it that just the tension, the anxiety? What?
There's no audience. This is something, it's like you've been doing something, if you've been doing the same thing for 30 years, performing in front of live people, and then suddenly no live people, but still do a show. So I had to learn how to look into this camera and really understand that there's somebody on the other side of that that's enjoying what they're seeing. And learning that was the only learning format that I had was the weatherman. Because the weatherman is always telling these corny jokes and he thinks he's really funny. Well, the guy's mostly just standing there by himself, just in front of a green screen. And so I talked to Paul Emick. I interviewed him and I said, Paul, what's it like just talking into a camera and trying to be topical and fresh and exciting? And so he gave me some tips on that. So that was the biggest leap. But I will tell you this, right before I do a show, I've been having these it's every single show. It still happens. I am horribly depressed right before I walk on stage. And the only way I can kick myself out of it was to do a gag. And I do this gag where I was just thrown out of the freezer and my hands, and I'm all tensed up like this. And I'm like, I'm so cold. I'm so cold. And then there's this water that says hot water in front of me. And I put my hands in it and the steam shoots up. And I'm like, oh, that feels so much better. And the reason why I did that is I wanted to go into my mind and go, oh, I remember Three Stooges as a little kid, and that puts me in a happy mood, and then the show goes from there.
You are a nutcase. Oh my God, I love you.
That's right. I got a
You
question.
gotta have these tools. You have to have something.
I have a question for Stuart, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Does Mr. Preston have a persona on social media? Does he have a Twitter page? Does he have a Facebook page? Does it give you an outlet to be very creative?
Yes, he does. And I'll tell you, I've created a whole backstory. Here he is with Ed Sullivan.
There you go.
Here he is training in World War II.
Oh my God. I love
And,
you. Amazing.
and I have a black and white biography that tells his whole story. And then I started making these videos where I went to archive.org and I got all these public domain old films of kinescopes of early television, and I'm inserting him in green screen. So I'm talking to Dean Martin, and I'm actually having an interactive. It's on my Facebook page. There's an interactive video of me talking directly to Ed Sullivan, and I do a trick and I scare him, and it was originally a conversation between him and Red Skelton, and
So it's kind of like Forrest Gump, the way that he has been in all these situations.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a whole backstory. I'm created a whole persona of him online.
That's
Is this
fantastic.
all you do? Stuart, is this all you do? I mean, you are a full-time magician, right? This is it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I have
Well-
268 days before I can retire, and then I'll be full-time magician.
All right.
I'm not counting. Just saying. Oh, don't tell my boss.
Boss doesn't know that then yet. Well, the types of shows that you're doing it looked like from the video, they were family shows and children's shows. Is that right, Stephanie?
Oh yeah, family, kids. I did a lot of birthday parties, and I probably did I did count. I'd have 150 to 200 appearances a year while doing principal. Yeah, I had. Well, that was my life, So it was good. It's a lot of fun, but now it's tough. So Stuart, when I went onto your website, it's like, this guy's a nut. I love him. Oh my God. And it's, I saw Steve Cohen, and he just that's where I wanted to be. And then I saw you, and it's like, oh my God, I want to be there too. So you've definitely inspired me quite a bit. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
You're welcome.
And I would say if anybody doesn't like your show, just look over your left shoulder and there's a big FU on your shelf.
That's right. Yeah. Pull that down so we can get a close-up of that over there then, Stuart.
Okay. Please do.
Oh, that was amazing.
There are not many people who have this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
So cool.
No, thank you.
Mhm.
What was that? I saw the show and I saw you on Penn and Teller, and I'm like, oh, that is so awesome. I didn't catch it, and it's like, oh my God, that is so cool. But I'll never go on Fool Us. I mean, I'm not in the level that you guys are at doing this as much. What was the only thing that gave you any angst in that? I mean, what was the toughest part anywhere in that whole experience? Or was it fun? I mean,
well, when they said yes, the act was still in development, and Johnny Thompson, he saw my act when the mirror was still on the table. And after I had done a show at the castle, I started rethinking how the mirror was going to be worked. And I got the call, and at the same time I got the call, the mirror was destroyed.
Oh.
And I was experimenting. I was in the middle of experimenting with a new method. And I'm like, okay. So I quickly figured, I got really lucky. Because I was just thinking, okay, I'm almost sure this method's going to work better. And so I took the mirror off the table, made it a standalone mirror, and everything was fine. And then one day I sent an email saying, I just did a couple of different things different. And they said, whoa, you can't do anything different. You're off the show.
Whoa.
Wow.
So I was off the show for like a week, and until they saw my new video, and then they saw that it was even better. And so then they allowed me to get back on. But that was the most stressful part, was making sure that, and I'll tell you this is a secret that a lot of people don't know, is that new method had never been in front of a live audience until Penn and Teller saw it.
Oh, that was good. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, did you have some anxiety similar to when you were at FISM? Or was that a different kind of when you're in contest and international level?
No, it's funny. That act creates no anxiety whatsoever, because I've taken all of the panicky moments that a magician will do. It's like, I hope that the angle is just right, and if I go like this, it'll just give the whole thing away. I have to stand a certain way, and it's like, no, I want this guy to be really fluid so that everything looks and feels natural. And the other part that I did that made it more fun and more relaxing is that when I practice it, I'm practicing it in my own studio, and he's in his own world. So I'm practicing it without an audience, and it doesn't need an audience. I perform it at the same level, strangely as it seems, without an audience, because everything, it's a play. Everything I'm doing is reactionary. So when I pick up something, I'm like, what? And I do it the same way every time. So when I'm on stage, there's no nervousness whatsoever. It's very relaxed.
Well, I can see why you would create a new persona, if you will, because that persona of where you are surprised is like, what happened? If you're wearing a mask and you're performing a live show, people are not going to get that same facial reaction of what's happening. And so it has to be something different, or it has to be virtually from home as you've done.
Yeah. Or we just make, somebody's going to invent a digital mask.
Yeah. Well, or why not just wear a clear mask, one of those shields over your face? That'd be another way of doing it, then as well.
I'd rather wait. By the way, I have the honor or the dishonor of being the very last person to perform at the Palace.
I knew that. I did some research on you this morning, and I'm like, he does have that distinguished honor.
Yep.
It's funny. I mean, we are 5 days away from 6 months being shut down.
Wow.
And, it's frustrating, and we can't wait to get back to normal day-to-day activities. I can't wait to stand at that front door and start welcoming members back into our building. But the great thing is we get to have the performers come in a little bit earlier that day. And, we got to fire up all the showrooms again. We got to test the lights. We got to test the sound. We've got a lot of work to do to be able to open. But, we're hoping we're at least LA County, we're making some progress, which is good. California overall is making progress. But we're still a few months away. And, that's the disappointing part. But, man, we can't wait to welcome magicians back into this building. Not just members, but magicians. I want to see just people having a good time. And I think, over the last 6 months, we've seen a lot of people have terrible times. And to be able to get back in the building and see some world-class magic would be just what the doctor ordered in my world.
Well, there's no question. Of course, the way that Jack Goldfinger always says, "Welcome home" whenever you come to work there, and you and others of the staff, is that it is like home. And I feel like I haven't been home in a while. If you haven't been there, it's just
Right.
You have really turned things around, I know, under your administration, and done just a super job, as other people have chimed in here and agreed. And that's one of the things, again, that you do, SAU and Jack and everybody else, it just comes from the top all the way down, where the servers, the butlers, everybody just makes you feel like you're at home. So thank you. And so I know that you're anxious to open up the house again.
It's been a tough go. It's been a very emotional ride these last 6 months. I mean, laying off as many employees as we did. And we were darn near 200 employees on March 15th. And we laid off 189 of them, as of the 30th of March, which was really hard to do. But I understood the decision the board had made, but it was hard to say goodbye to a lot of people. And, for the first couple months, I was reaching out every Friday via email, trying to lift spirits, trying to keep everybody abreast of what was happening, in LA County through the health department, as well as the CDC. But it got to a point where, I trying to stay positive was really difficult because, it was hard to find the positive nuggets out of what we were doing. But, I dream every night about writing that email or writing that letter or picking up that phone and calling all 189 to say, we're about to reopen. Let's get you back. Because we were a family. It's not just the members. The employees create this family atmosphere here too. 9 times out of 10, you spend more time here with the employees you work with than you do at home with your own family. And so, to say goodbye, it was not forever. It was just temporary. But man, I can't wait for this to be over and get back to getting back to some kind of sense of normalcy.
Well, I can certainly appreciate that then as well. And I remember whenever they had made the decision as far as to lay off a lot of people, I'd understood the reason was that way they could at least sign up for employment options. Then also after a while, it's like, okay, well, it looks like we're going to be let go permanently. And if you can find another job, you better start looking for it. And I know some people, unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, have found other opportunities and will not be coming back, who are part of that family. But whenever that you come back, I'm sure you can offer all those same people, whether they're employed somewhere else or not, to say, hey, if you want to come back, you can. So that'll be great.
We would love to welcome back everyone. That's for sure. The letter I sent in mid-July, I just wanted to address that 800-pound elephant in the room, which is that there might be a chance we may not open soon. And I knew that the unemployment was going to end as of July 31, and I wanted them to understand that it was really important to take care of themselves and their families first and foremost. Don't wait around by the phone waiting for us. As soon as we know, we're going to notify you immediately. But I wanted them to make the best decision they could possibly make for themselves and their family. It's tough. These are tough decisions that we're having to make during this pandemic. I don't envy the board and what they're doing. I mean, obviously they cycled on a week after we closed. So they walked right into the quicksand as far as I was concerned. And, our president, Randy Sennett Jr., has done a really nice job trying to navigate us through this really difficult time. I don't envy his position right now. He and I communicate, twice, if not more, per week. But I think we're both looking forward to, being able to sit at the main bar and have a drink one day together and put this miserable 6 months behind us.
I think that it is something that everybody is certainly looking forward to. And one of the things I think is exciting also is the way that I was talking again from the beginning of this about doing virtual shows and everything, and that the Magic Castle seems to have embraced that very quickly and got into doing the, I know you have evening shows behind the library, or something like that, I believe.
Behind the bookcase, yeah, behind the bookcase. They go live every Thursday and Sunday. We do Saturday night virtual shows, which are free to all of the AMA members. We try and do a host and two performers. It's about an hour to hour and 15-minute show. We have a Dine and Delight program. We are doing to-go food, which is deemed essential here in LA County. And we had just hired a new chef, right before we shut down. Alex Arrieta joined us at the end of January. And he really never got an opportunity to really put his spin on the culinary creations from the kitchen. And so this Dine and Delight program that we started in the middle of June has given him an opportunity to kind of introduce the way he cooks to our membership. And tonight we're serving duck. And he let me taste test right before we went live. And I want to marry that duck. I really do.
You don't mean marinated, you mean marry it. Wow. Wow.
Commitment.
It's a firm commitment. Well, another quick question then also and that is having to do with the annual Academy Banquet, which typically is in the spring, and then that kind of got put on hold. And when they decided that this wasn't going to be coming back anytime soon, it looked like they finally, decided, let's do something virtually. And if I've ever seen a Hollywood production, that was it. I think they did an outstanding job.
They really did. My hat's off to Jonathan Levitt, Max Maven, Gabe Blackstone, Erica Larson, Klaus, everybody that was involved in that production. My hat's off to them. We'd never done anything like that before, and I think they pulled it off. I think it was absolutely fantastic. And, we had some great winners. Chris Capehart, no longer the bridesmaid, finally became the bride. Obviously, Carissa, a winning stage magician of the year, I thought was absolutely fantastic. I knew that was going to be great for the Academy. Aussie Wind, Danny D. Ortiz is our lecturer of the year, and of course our fellowship winner. So I agree with Dal Sanders. It was incredible. My hat's off to the production team. It really made the Academy, proud in what they did.
Yeah, and for those people who have not had a chance to see that, of course, that was on live. And some of the people who watch this also attend the live Collector's Corner that David Sandy and Lance Rich put on, which I think is pretty incredible. Typically goes about 3 hours on Sunday evenings, but they cut it a little bit short in order to transition over and go to where we could go in here live at the top of the hour, which many of us did. Had a little bit of problem trying to get in, but finally did. But the advantage was that it was then streamed later, or rather uploaded to Vimeo, so you can watch it anywhere then right now. Perhaps Stephanie, you or somebody can, Stuart or somebody can pipe in there that the link, so that way people can have a chance to go to that at a later date to watch that Vimeo thing. But it was right at an hour, and so it was kept tight. It was very good. Showed some nice bits from everybody. So yeah, kudos all around.
Yeah, I watched it and
I actually made a profit.
Yeah, I would encourage you to do that every year.
It was we did it because we knew we needed to do something. And I think we were all pleasantly surprised at how successful it was. I think the last time I saw, we had over 4,500 people had watched the show, which normally we get anywhere between 800 and 1,000 people to attend the show. So I think it was far reaching. And I think thank you, Dal, for putting that up. But it was simply amazing. We did budget for another one next year, not knowing how long COVID's going to go. And we'll see what happens. I think we learned a lot from a technology standpoint. We're a much better club than we were prior to COVID. We've really had to adapt. The virtual shows, we use StreamYard as well for our behind the bookcase events that we do on Thursday and Sunday. But it's a brave new world, and we need to embrace technology as our future. That's for sure. So I'm sure even when we do open up, there will be some restrictions that LA County will put into place, and we'll abide by those. But at the same time, I think the world is our oyster right now. There's lots of possible. As successful as Stuart's been with his shows, I think it's a brave new world, and I think we need to embrace it.
Do you think, and I'm asking everybody in general, because I know Stephanie Stewart and the Magic Castle are all doing virtual shows. Do you agree that this will be something that will be going into the future? In other words, do you think that some of your audiences, or I should say some of your clients, will be wanting to continue to see these in the future, like 5-10 years from now?
They better, because I'm going to keep doing it. I mean, I'm basically a kids magician, and I love birthday parties. Kids are awesome, and I really want to keep doing that. But, I'm getting on the age side, 65, and, drinking these martinis every night. But I'm thinking that this is going to really blossom for people who just don't see this magic. And I'm doing interactive shows with like Discover Magic. And these interactive shows, the kids are loving it. And so we're going to start boosting that up more and more. I think that I didn't even know the Magic Castle had virtual shows. So I'm there.
Good.
Yeah, one of the things I think was interesting also that a couple of years ago that Daryl Rose and some others at the Magic Circle in London were responsible for putting together, and that is their Monday night shows. And so as a member of the Inner Magic Circle, that it's great that I don't have to go to London to see these shows. So every Monday night, whoever the lecturer is going to be, or the show, or the speaker, they've got some sort of an activity, and they are very interesting all the time, and they've been doing that live. So I really feel like I'm more a part of the community, even though I'm not living there. So I would agree with others who are encouraging the Academy to continue on with these kinds of activities, these virtual shows, even afterwards. So this way that everybody is going to be able to watch this, regardless of wherever you are. I mean, it's great right now for the locals and people who live outside, but I think that there are others that are that have been on the outskirts, and it's like, well, this would be another benefit of membership by having these virtual shows that you can attend, even though that you live on the other side of the world. You know what I mean?
I do. And, I agree with you, Scott. We are beginning next Monday. We're doing virtual magic classes. We've taken it out of the classroom and we've gone virtual, and that's taken a couple months for us to actually get it launched and get it launched the right way. But I don't see that ending, even if we're able to welcome people back in the building. Of course, in-person magic training, I think, would be the best. But I think we can open up our how far can we reach in regards to teaching classes? There's nothing that says that we can't, sell classes to people that are on the East Coast if we do it at 11 a.m. or we do it at a time that's more conducive to them actually joining us. I think virtual is going to be a part of our lives moving forward. I mean, there's a part of me that doesn't understand how we would have been able to function without Zoom.
Right.
Zoom was such a great find. StreamYard was such a great find. It's been able to allow our boards to connect virtually. Our members to connect virtually. And that's the part I really enjoy about our Saturday virtual magic shows. I get to log on and just see everybody's faces, and you can see the private chats going back and forth. It's great to see you. How are you? How's your family? They're reconnecting in a way, while watching magic. And, I've always said, when I see a magic trick done really well, it reminds me of, the first magic trick I saw, and it's very nostalgic for me. And people feel that way. And I think magicians, whether they're in person or virtually, can connect emotionally. And we need a little bit more of that in our world right now. It just seems like our world is down. And if we could somehow pick people up, even if it's just an hour, maybe we can make their lives a little bit better.
Right. Well, I recognize certainly also that these virtual shows are not only going on, but virtual conventions. I just attended, and I was responsible for hosting a couple of events that we had this past weekend for the Texas Association of Magicians. First time that we've actually hosted an event that was actually a virtual show or a virtual convention, which included shows, lectures, had dealer demos and things. And so it was really a good attempt at the first time of trying to use this with so many different people across Texas and elsewhere who are involved with this. Now, this coming weekend, Saturday, I know the MAES is going to be having a virtual convention, and I don't have somebody might be able to put this into the comments here shortly, but the MAES has a website set up, and I think that right now that they are pretty much subscribed, but they are going to let people in on the morning up, which is on Saturday morning. I believe it begins at 11 Eastern time, and it goes for about, I think, 8 hours or so. And they've got a day full of lectures, but you'll see all of the things they've got planned there. And I remember early on in this, whenever that we had Joshua J. and Eddie Gladwin, who just did a superlative job of trying to do just a one-day convention. And that is a something that I can't believe that they were, right on top of it so quickly to get that whole thing put together, and with David Blaine and Danny Garcia and Dynamo and different people from all over. It was just, pretty amazing. Anyhow, so I know that it's being proven that you can do virtual conventions, and we probably will be seeing some more of that. I don't think that will take the place of actual conventions when we get back together, because people want to be together physically and shake hands and give a hug,
Yeah. We want to touch the magic. We want to touch the table. Right. We want to play with the magic. Are you kidding? I can't wait to get to another convention.
Right.
So,
yeah. Right.
I think to answer your question about where I think this is going, first, it's really it's impossible to predict where it's going to go, because I remember when HBO came out and we all said, nobody's going to pay for cable. Why would you pay for TV? And now we're paying for TV. But with this, I think we're going to see Zoom or whatever on, StreamYard or whatever it's going to be when these big touring shows come out. I think these shows are going to be scaled way, way down. But I think you're going to be seeing a virtual ticket as well. And the production is not only going to be just for the lighting and the sound, but there's going to be TV cameras everywhere, so that you're going to have this beautiful online production that's interactive and live at the same time. And I think you're going to be seeing these concerts being pushed right onto the internet. Yeah. And so instead of having let's just say that they have a 400-seat theater, they fill it, but they have 10,000 people watching. I think that's where it's going to go. I think it's going to be a combination of the two.
That makes sense. I can certainly see where that they're going to have a combination, because already that they have had the large screen of the iMags showing close-up and everything. Jamie Allen was known as the eye magician, and he's had a lot of interactive and virtual and AR kinds of things going on, and it's been really good. And I think that's kind of a direction that these larger shows seem to be where they seem to be going. So I agree with you on that, then, Stuart, too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, those tickets were sold out over there. And so, as far as some of the shows, I was going to say, as far as the virtual shows, I know even on cruise ships that they have the iMags and everything that they are showing to complement the stage as well, acts. So this way that whenever they do the smaller things, that they'll be able to be seen on the larger screens. And so I think someplace. That's why the Magic Castle is so different and unique, because it offers an opportunity for people to actually go into a showroom where they can see something that's going to be stand up or close up and then stage, as opposed to going and just sitting on the stage and then watching something on the screen. It's like, we're here to see the big stuff, and then the smaller things in the parlor, and then the micro stuff really in the close up room. So you have that ability. That's a very unique kind of situation. Not everyone can, all venues can offer that kind of variety, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in my opinion, there's nothing better than live magic. Live magic on a stage is even better. But I've learned to adapt with the Zoom shows. They're still really entertaining to me, and I'm impressed by the creativity that some magicians add to really reinvent their act and really connect with that audience. Stuart talked about that connection. We've been the last couple of weeks, we've done some comedy events in our parking lot. It's kind of like a drive-in movie theater where you drive in, you park, you tune into a radio station, which is 97.7. You can kind of hear the comedians up on stage. And we've had some really big names. Bill Burr was one that performed over the last couple of weeks. I think the 7 days we've done it, he's been for 6. And even Bill struggled the first time he got up, because you're so used to getting that instant gratification, whether it's laughter or a groan or something along that line, and you don't get that when people are in their cars. And so it was a little awkward that first night, but then everybody kind of transitioned. And so what the Comedy Store people did was they hand out these little plastic clappers, and as you're sitting in your car, you can roll down your window and you can use these plastic clappers outside your vehicle to kind of give feedback to the comedian. And I thought that was really creative.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. This
Yeah,
could bring back drive-in theaters, you know?
Yeah.
So, more smoochies.
It was
One thing that I found that's been really kind of a debilitating when it comes to this Zoom is the technology has really left the senior citizens cut off at the knees for going to live theater because they can't even experience Zoom. They struggle so much. And we found that out with the Croswell Opera House, their base of ticket holders. They just couldn't swing Zoom. And it was so emotionally disappointing for them and for me that we couldn't connect with them because they just couldn't figure it out. So what we ended up doing to help them out is that we were recording all of our shows to DVD so that they could still experience the show, but they would experience the show exactly the way people were experiencing it. So we're helping the seniors with that.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Now, on the Croswell Theater, I think that's kind of an interesting thing about how that you had used that as your charity thing, something that was a cause. How did you decide? Was that a place where you'd work frequently and decided that that was something that you wanted to work with? Or
Well, they called me, and the Croswell is where I got my start in theater. I started as an actor and as a musical theater actor, and so did Lori. And that's where we really cut our teeth. I've been on that stage since I was in the sixth grade. So when they called, I'm like, sure, I'm there. I mean, I've even been on the board of directors for the theater, so I know it. I know the place really well, and so we created a partnership and we developed this. And we're not at the Croswell anymore, but because the Croswell helped, put together a development team to help put this the show together. Every show that I'm doing, I'm kicking back some money back to the Croswell, and that was the agreement that we made. So it's even though I'm on my own doing the show, it's still benefiting the Croswell.
that's great that you find a cause. I mean, there are so many places that are in such great need, and you're going back to your roots and helping them. Then also, I'm sure. I know I have season tickets for the symphony, and also, of course, the symphony and everything has been hurting as well. And so I know that it's not just gig performers, but those who are professional in doing those kinds of scheduled shows have had difficulty also in trying to sell tickets like Zoom, where you have each of the different corners. And if you haven't ever seen a concert like that, that's quite an experience.
Yeah, and just a couple of days ago, Amazon contacted me. They found out about my show through a couple of sources. So I'm doing a huge Amazon show for all their top execs, and it could go where it goes from there, I don't know. And then I just closed a deal with the Navy. The Navy.
Really? Wow. So you signed up?
Yeah, I signed up for the Navy. I'm going to go.
You're in the Navy. Now you're in the Navy. You're going to sail the 7 seas?
I don't know about that.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
But so if I hadn't have developed this show and really started plugging away at it, I wouldn't have had any of these opportunities. I was listening to NPR the other day, and this person was talking about action versus inaction, and people that are just sitting waiting for the answer to come. By the time the answer comes, it's too late. So this is sort of like a wake-up call for every entertainer, magicians included, that you just can't sit around waiting for the vaccine. You have to do something to keep your mind creative and to keep motivating yourself moving forward. Because if you just sit and you just wait, the train's going to pass you by and you're just not going to be ready for the next thing. And this is where we're at. We're at the next thing right now. We're at the very, very beginning of it, because right now it's the Wild West. It's crazy how many shows that are out there. But whenever something like this happens, there's always going to be 1 or 2 or 3 big players that come out, and you never know who those people are going to be.
Well, that's true. We were at the, well, as I had mentioned today, that I had John Pullum as my guest on today's podcast that was released, and we were talking a lot about this. And one of the things I said in my blog and also in my pod letter, which everybody should subscribe to, but I was saying that I feel that we are on the precipice right now, and we are looking either into a black abyss or else that we are looking into the eyes of a beautiful angel who has a gift for us. It's kind of one of those glass half full, half empty kind of a things. And the sooner that we embrace technology, I think the better off that we're going to be. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind. I just talked with someone today who was asking for some advice about coming up. We're going to be doing a show, and this person had said they really hadn't done anything like this before and wondering what kind of tricks actually, and they haven't even watched any of the virtual shows to know what's being done out there. But because this is a friend and a fraternal organization this person belongs to, that they wanted to help out, whatever. When they said, "Can you do some magic?" It's like, yeah. And all of a sudden, now they have to do 20 minutes and not quite sure how to do it. So they're kind of being thrown to the dogs. And so I'm saying, well, there are a lot of things to look at out there. Certainly, it's like, of course, where the magicians have always been on the front part of technology and trying to, let's say, like Robert Houdin with the electromagnetics and whatever. You know, we as magicians, I believe, have led the way for entertainers and done things, you know, pass or fail. You just go out and try and do whatever you can, you know.
Well, I know that magic's going to come back live. Everything's going to come back live. There's no question about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I believe that live magic certainly is going to be coming back, but the issue is just, of course, trying to seat people in the theaters, as I know, Joe, you're having some issues with then as well, as far as the when you do open, that you're going to have some distance in between the seats and everything. So that's going to be a lot different. And then even between things, when I was talking last week, for an example, with DeMayer, that he was saying, look at Hans Klock, and he's going to have, let's say, a 2,000 seat theater or 1,500, whatever it is. And by the time the people leave the theater, and then they have to kind of wipe it down and then reseat them because they have to stagger 6 feet behind and everything, it takes 2 hours just to fill half or a third of the theater with the people. And so it's just untenable.
It's going to be very difficult. You know, it's not going to be easy, but we're going to put together a great business plan, and we're going to do anything we can to provide as many shows as we can to those that are inside the building. But, you know, it's really up to the city and the state at this particular moment. You know, we're trying to lobby as much as we can. And I say we as restaurants, we're trying to lobby as much as we can. You know, they have allowed outside dining in most restaurants here in LA. And I hope they keep that, to be honest with you. It's very European, and I love it. You know, we did some surveys right after we were shut down. We've canceled, I think, 7,000 reservations in the 6 months that we've been shut down. And
wow.
We did a lot of surveys, and it came back about 90% that people will not want to come back until we actually have live magic. So we certainly need the state and the city to, you know, kind of take off some of the stranglehold. But I understand why it's there. Public safety, our member safety is first and foremost. But once we are given a plan, we're going to be very creative, and we're going to think outside the box, and we're going to come up with a way to try and you know, treat as many of our members and their guests to what we do best.
Well, now would be a good time, I think, to dispel the rumor, and maybe I'm the only one who's heard this, that they were saying, well, the Magic Castle may never reopen. And somebody was saying, what's going to happen to all the artifacts and all the history and everything in there? And surely that can't be right. And yeah, well, the property is worth more, and they're going to at least sell the parking lot, and because it's worth so much, and because that's where I know for a while that there was a staging area during some of the riots. The police were there, and there was controversy or one thing or another. And so the castle is not going to close. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can dispel that rumor. Right now, we have no plans of closing. We plan on reopening. From a financial standpoint, you know, now you got to remember, when I arrived here in 2012, we had less than 200,000 in the bank. And we changed our fortunes, and we were able to put some money aside. And that's really what has allowed us to survive these 6 months. We did not qualify for a PPP loan. We're chartered as a 501(c)(3), and they excluded us from the PPP opportunity. And so we've really had to kind of rely upon, you know, the cuts that we've made, as well as some of the revenue sources that we've launched to try and minimize the damage, if I may be so bold. But the Glover family, who owns the property, has been very good. We have a contract with them through the end of 2028, and we obviously would like to be here through there and then beyond. No, there's no talk or discussions about closing. We want to reopen. We want to give value to our members, and we understand that their home away from home, the Magic Castle, is
Right.
one of the greatest assets we have, and we want to protect it as much as we can.
Right. I knew that was the case, but as I said, I just wanted it to come from the horse's mouth right there. So appreciate you answering the question over there then too. Stephanie, I want to get back to you for just a moment over here then too. We were talking about some shows and things that we're doing during this time, and I was asking you about some of your virtual shows. You have something coming up over here pretty soon, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, September 14th, I've got an interactive show. And so I've gone through all the books and everything. Discover Magic helped me out a lot to get these shows together. But the nice thing is that the kids can do the magic and perform the magic. So that's a lot of fun. So, yeah. Oh, that's it right there. Yeah. And we've been doing that for a while. I'm going to just keep doing that once a month, have these interactive magic shows for the kids. It's free, so there's no worries. I do a sales pitch at the end, So, you got to do sales pitches. But still, if you don't give back right now and you don't help the kids out so that they have something to do, I'm sorry, you're not contributing. So
That's a very good point. Seems like right now that we need to have something that's going to be for the family, something that's going to be an opportunity for the kids to get involved as well, because, well, of course, many of them across the country are doing online schooling and everything, and that the parents need a little bit of, yeah.
Well, I do online schooling. I'm a QA engineer for that, and it is really, really hard. There's so many demands. You don't want the kids to cheat, blah, blah, blah. And kids need a break, because they're going to be on these videos forever. My granddaughter, Juliana, is like iPad City. She won't do magic with me.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So as we start to kind of wrap up, I want to thank you guys very much again for being over here then this evening as well. This has been pretty great. And I'm looking. Everybody is obviously looking forward for the castle reopening, and also then Stuart with your show you're going to be doing is Richard Preston. It sounds like that's something that's going to be taking you quite far into the future then as well.
Yep, we have a show coming up September 18th and 19th.
So great. So and I'm going to put that up here for again just a second of what there that is. So this way that people know they can go to stuartmcdonaldmagic.com. And they can find the information on that show then as well, because you've got a good deal that is for the whole family, like one price for the whole household, basically, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Now, as far as that TED Talk, by the way, just real briefly, will that be posted someplace then at a later time, where we're going to be able to go and watch that?
Yeah, on the TED site. Just keep an eye out on my Facebook announcements, and I'll get it out to everybody.
Great. Very good. All right. Well, listen, thank you guys again very much. This has been really wonderful, and I know that most everybody has a little bit of time on their hands, and one of the reasons I like to have this opportunity on Thursday nights is for us to get together and kind of renew old friendships and relationships and people that we don't get to see very often. I have some different people that are coming up each week. In fact, next week that I'm going to be having, let's see who have I got coming up. Alon New and Michael Dardant and John Shango are going to be joining me next week. And also that as far as the magic word, as I mentioned today, that we had John Pullum. And so I want to mention that next week that we're going to be having Boris Wilde as my guest, who, by the way, is going to be one of the lecturers at the MAS convention, which I want to again plug that for Mark D'Souza, because he was here just as well, just one of my guests here a while back then as well. So again, thank you guys very much. I appreciate your time, and glad you're here.
And Scott, with 3:38 left in the first quarter, your Houston Texans are up 7-0 over Kansas City.
Oh, wow. There we go.
We'll see when the Patriots meet them. You guys didn't think as much as I did. Okay,
That's true. That's true.
Maybe we've got a team here this year.
Yeah. Okay.
And not just J.J. Watt. Maybe there's going to be some more coming too. So listen, hey, I want to raise my glass one last time to thank you guys as well. So cheers to all of you guys, my friends. So until next week, that was Joe Furlow, 70 Beach, Stuart McDonald. This is Scotty out.